This is the JayMac News Attack.
So today's news attack, based upon President Trump's very presidential weekend. My three takeaways about the events of the last few days and my surprise about some of the things going on. So starting with my number three takeaway.
Takeaway number three.
He delivered a very bold speech about extremes or extremists in religion. I thought it was pretty powerful.
Drive them out of your places of worship. Drive them out of your communities. Drive them out of your holy land. And drive them out of this earth. A better future is only possible if your nations drive out the terrorists and drive out the extremists. Drive them out.
So drive them out was his message. I think this is an important message because in the past he has not delivered clarity on the difference between Muslims, Islam, and extremism, and this was a speech specifically talking about extremist terrorism, and I think it was broadly well received.
Number two.
My number two takeaway about this presidential weekend, his tweets have been presidential as well. In fact, only sending out two tweets that I can see. The first one, great to be in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, looking forward to the afternoon and evening ahead, where he did a sword dance. They touched an orb. Have you seen this meme going around? And where Melania refused at one point to hold his hand, slapped his hand away. That's all side stuff. His other tweet, thank you to the brave servicemen and women who have served and continue to serve the United States, our true heroes. Hashtag Armed Forces Day. So two very presidential tweets for a weekend that is being perceived as a successful weekend for the president. Very important after what many call the worst 2 weeks of his presidency.
And JayMac News Attack. Takeaway number one.
Now here is my number one takeaway, and this is very important to me. The news coverage. Now you know I'm just have a voracious appetite for the news. I watched all weekend, and I consume it constantly. I would whether or not I had this show. It's just how I am. And I saw things over the weekend that I don't know that I've ever seen before. I saw newscasters talking about issues, foreign policy, actions of a president in a presidential light.
The president and his senior advisors tell us that the strategy for him was to press these issues very directly behind the scenes. They say that his approach is to raise these issues quietly and to expect results.
Report after report.
Today, President Trump is in Israel, hoping to broker what he calls the ultimate deal, Middle East peace. The president and first lady touring one of Christianity's holiest sites and the Western Wall, Judaism's holiest prayer site, while also meeting with the Israeli president. Over the weekend, President Trump kicked off his 9-day overseas trip in Saudi Arabia, the birthplace of Islam. Donald Trump sharing a message of unity to leaders from more than 50 different Muslim nations.
I stand before you as a representative of the American people to deliver a message of friendship and hope and love.
Now, this doesn't sound like the coverage of the first 100 days of the Trump administration, does it? Reports about actually what he's doing, his presidential policies, how he's being received. What, my friends, is the difference? Is it that the media has had some great awakening and they're no longer going to cover Trump in the way they have in the past? No, nonsense. It's been Trump. Trump is the difference in the coverage. No crazy tweets. Acting presidential, doing presidential type things. This weekend, to me, was a perfect demonstration of how this president would be covered if this president didn't constantly give them distractions and other things to do. Now, I predicted he wouldn't be doing crazy tweeting over the weekend. So far, my prediction has played out. If he can be this guy and not be his own worst enemy and his own worst distraction, maybe we can get back to discussions about actual policies, about what's good for this country, instead of the latest tweet madness. I, for one, am glad to see it. I hope that it continues.